We are here with head swim coach, triathlon coach, but today we're just going to talk about swimming. We'll get to triathlon later. But head swim coach, Dr. Molly Duesterhaus. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We'll just jump right into the deep end. Swim pond. But how practice?
I think I can swim.
Yeah. How practice has been?
Practices have been going really well. I think that, given restrictions and ways we needed to adapt, I think that we've done really well. And the creativity brought out some innovation in how we do things. The swimmers really looked forward to Fridays. We had to adjust our race pace training in order to have social distancing, but I think they really liked it. It's probably something we'll keep in our repertoire, moving forward. So, I think it just took some creativity, and the swimmers appreciated being able to be in the water. A lot of focus on technique this fall, just trying to really think about our body position and catch and acceleration. And so not having all the meets this fall really allowed us to break strokes down differently and to think differently about it. So it's going all right.
Yeah, so talk about that creativity. What have you had to do to adapt your practices?
Well, one of the big things early on in the reacclimation to sport this fall, we did 2 weeks out of the water before we even started. So, which is different. Usually we start both at the same time. And this fall we did 2 weeks of dry land, a lot of running, a lot of calisthenics. We've taken over a parking lot. So instead of being inside or being on the track, every athlete had a parking space. So we knew if we ever had to do contact tracing, kind of who was around who in the workouts. So they had parking spaces. They were all about 12 to 15 feet apart. Once they were in their parking space, they could take off their mask. We cranked music. There's a lot of shouting and hollering and hooping and cheering each other on. But we stayed outside until early November, and thankfully it was pretty mild. But we had talked to the swimmers about, we're going to be outside as long as we can. That means rain, shine, cold. You'll need to dress accordingly. So we would send out weather updates. But there was a day it was pouring rain, and they looked at us like, "Coach, are we really going to do this?" And Coach VR and I just put on our rain jackets. We stood in the pouring rain with them. And we had a fun dry land workout in the pouring rain in the parking lot. But that 2 weeks really translated into the pool. They were physically really ready. We had talked a lot about core strength, balance, flexibility. We did yoga in the parking lot. Just things that we often would do in a different format. We did a lot of it outdoors, and I think the swimmers actually really liked it, especially on the beautiful fall days. We were often out there during sunset, and so that was something I think that was really great, and especially during a time period where the swimmers were so restricted in mask wearing, indoors, outdoors, everywhere, to be able to be outside really working out hard and taking off your mask and laughing in a safe environment, COVID safe, and friendly environment. That was one piece that really paid off for us. Other creative, just a lot of thinking about activities with masks on and how to have rock, paper, scissors competitions, or what's that head game that they play, where you're guessing word up or whatever.
Oh, heads up.
Heads up.
Yeah.
Just a lot of things where you could be 6 feet apart, but really enjoy being with each other and laughing. That's what I found the swimmers really needed this fall, was just laughter and connectivity. And so we really tried to weave a lot more intentional connection with the athletes this fall.
So is team building kind of stuff like that more of kind of the focus, since you can only do so much out of water training with stuff, with technique?
I don't know that it was a great team building in the way that I usually do that, where you learn to really rely on each other, know each other's strengths and weaknesses, because I've been doing this a long time, and this fall has really challenged me in the team building piece. I think that the focus really was even more on laughter. I would say the freshmen have bonded pretty well because we did cluster them. They all live in the same residential community this year, where usually they're a little bit more spread out. So the freshmen have connected with each other, but they're not allowed to visit upper class swimmers in apartments and across campus. So that's really different. That's where a lot of our team bonding, those funny stories come from. So I think that there's good connectivity. They feel like they are a part of something that is significant and it's going to be great, but we don't have that same type of team. They're usually like a mess of puppies piled on top of each other, watching movies and laughing. And this year it's just, there's a lot of respect. I think just that notion of, I really like you and I hope to get to know you better, because it's so distant. But I think we made it through, and the great thing is we made it all the way through the fall semester to Thanksgiving. We were in the water from September to Thanksgiving break. The team never had to shut down. They were so good about wearing their masks and making good choices and really trying to stay socially distanced. And I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of what they had to do, because it was like, hey, come to college, but don't act like a college student. Don't do everything that you're supposed to do in your college years. Let's save that for when COVID is over. And that was hard. It was hard for me to ask that of them. It was hard for them to live into that, but they did it. And I think we're going to see that pay off. That they were able to stay in the water and stay physically healthy.
So obviously you haven't been able to see as much from practice as you normally would in years past, just because of the lack of doing practices in the water, at least. But what have you seen so far from the team that you've liked?
We have probably been in the water more than a lot of the CCIW schools. Our partnership with the Y has been pretty fantastic, and they've let us do social distancing. It's been limited in the sense of how many swimmers we could have in the water at a time, but we were able to get everyone in the pool 4 times a week, 5 times a week. 3 to 5 times a week, depending on their academic schedule. Our nursing students were still doing clinicals and being COVID tested all the time and just trying to stay healthy. So they might have only been able to get in the water 3 times based on their schedule. But it really varied. We have a sense of where the freshmen are, and they look really, really good. And they had to learn our language, our lingo, our drills. And so we have a good foundation coming back in January. And we had a virtual meet right at the end of the fall training, right before Thanksgiving. And we had 14 athletes who were able to swim in that virtual event. So about half the team. And they blew it away. It was so fun to watch them race. I think they were just hungry to see where they were, how they were evolving. And it was really crazy. A lot of the swimmers, returning swimmers and the new swimmers, were right on lifetime best times. And a number of them even had a lifetime best time in this crazy training that we've done. And, as a coach, you just kind of look at them and you're like, I see you, it's paying off, it's going to happen. And I think that that was reassuring to be able to do that. And we have a lot of swimmers ranked in the top 10 and top 20 in CCIW right now, which I think looks really good for the future. I'm hoping that all of the plans for this winter for our dual meet competition within our conference will roll forward, because it'll be fun to see our swimmers compete against their peers at other colleges. And I think they're ready for it. I think they got a taste of it and they know they're strong and they're ready to go. So,
were you surprised with some of the times that you saw, or were some of them like much quicker than you were expecting?
Yeah. And that's part of the fun of, I think, our philosophy and our approach is that some of the swimmers who come into Millikin, they're good swimmers, they're good high school swimmers, but coming in and getting collegiate coaching and understanding where power comes from and their body and how they're going to really be able to build speed by doing this or modifying this or approaching it this way. And so for me, we really see a drop in time. We see changes in their stroke and in their power. I think some of them were really shocked because some of their drops were not small drops. They were pretty big drops. And they're like, oh my gosh, just imagine what's going to happen after winter training and going into the spring season and thinking out 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, having to remind them it's not all going to happen just this year. This is just going to be, and it's an odd year. So just you wait. I mean, it's really, we're going to watch you really gain momentum. And I think the best part of that virtual meet was that it was kind of an I told you so from my perspective, just to be able to say, this is what we do. We will help you unlock that potential, and it's happening even in COVID. And I think that gives them confidence. They're pretty excited.
Yeah. So you mentioned kind of briefly that you've got a pretty good amount of returners, especially on the women's side. You've got some really impressive ones with Bridget, Liv, Kelly, Hope. And I mean, I'm missing a number of them off the top of my head. But then on the men's side, Nick and Sean.
Yeah.
Well, what have they brought to the table this year? Have you seen them grown in the off season?
Yeah, they've really had to step up in ways that they probably wouldn't have anticipated. Again, going back to that notion of creativity, how are we going to connect our team with one another, and how are we going to show that we're leaders and we're really great people who can adapt and adjust and do what needs to be done. And so they've been really funny. One of the things they did, they started Snapchat series with all of the freshmen, and who could keep the snaps going and who was forgetful and just bragging about who had the longest Snapchat series. And I think that was fun, and that was a way to use technology to try to build connections again. And then, it's just hard being really honest. I think that is one of the qualities I try to bring to the team, is that you don't have to pretend you're okay. Let's talk about it. What's the real struggle? Academically, some of them were struggling with, just online class and trying to understand concepts in this new way. And they could give each other tips and strategies, or, oh, I've had that professor before. Here's some things you can really work towards, things that they like to see in your work. And so I think really just embracing some of the emotions, some of the struggles, some of the just reality of the context we were in, and being okay with that, to say, no, it's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. But what are you going to do about it? What steps can you take? And seeing those returners really embrace that among themselves, and supporting and encouraging each other as the returners, and then also really turning and supporting the freshmen in their transition to college. And yeah, I'm really proud of them. They're amazing. Katie, Sean, Hope, Liv, Bridget, Avery. I mean, we do have a strong group of returners, and they're not just in the pool, but in leadership and in the content, of their character. And that's cool. It's good to finally have more juniors who have that experience and wisdom and understanding of the program to help carry us right now. If the team was as young as it has been in the past, I think it would have been that much harder to really reassure people that it's going to be okay. We're a family. We're going to take care of each other. But the juniors have really been able to say, no, really, it's going to be okay. This is good. You're going to enjoy it.
So we've mentioned a lot so far, the freshmen and the new people. Let's talk about them. Who are they? What do you like? What have you seen from them?
Yeah, so Joe Smiley out of Virginia and Diogo Maibamba out of North Chicago area. Those two are two who have dropped a lot of time. So just having really different coaching, the type of workouts, our distance, our intensity is more than either of them had experienced before coming into college, and it's really paying off for them. I mean, they're dropping every time they get in the water, they drop time. So that's fun. Vlad Mullen out of Rolling Meadows High School, again, up in Chicago. He is just going to be super fantastic. His drive, he's very aware of where he's ranked in the conference. He knows what his goals are. We have target times he wants to work towards every practice. He knows what intervals he's hitting, what's his speed, what are we working on today. So he's hungry. He wants a conference championship. He wants NCAAs. Eventually, he'd like Olympic trial qualifying times. I mean, so he carries that competitiveness into the class. That's a lot of fun. So on the women's side, we have a great class too. Taylin Zano out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She is fiery in the distance. She knows how to negative split. She knows how to keep sustaining power. And she's pretty excited about where she'll stand and what she'll do in the distance world. Shea Buchanan out of Florida. Again, just different training, a coach who might approach it differently. And she is just dropping time. And I know we'll get to triathlon later too, but just the notion of that training and finding power and not being afraid to attack. She's going to do awesome. Annalyn Bullock out of Missouri. Yeah, she's power. We're going to be able to leverage her skills in fly, backstroke, IM, mid-distance freestyle. She's fantastic. Anna Hamilton out of Southern Illinois. She, again, I think sometimes going to college and just having a different coach explain things differently and really take time to focus on your stroke. She's dropping time. She looks great in the water. Hannah Sweeney is a senior. She was a high school swimmer, but she transferred from McMurray, and she played soccer there. They didn't have swimming, so she's back to swimming, which is her roots. And she's already having lifetime best swims. I think she's just so excited to be back in the swimming world. And so it's been fun to have her. Maggie Telford's out with an injury right now, had shoulder surgery, but we hope she'll be back in the future. We'll get some physical therapy. Injury was before Millikin, but we needed to get that resolved. And she's a really great swimmer, so she'll be back in the time to come. So yeah, I feel pretty good about us.
Yeah. So last year at the conference meet, you had a lot of really impressive times, some new school records. a lot of top 10s just from that alone.
Mhm.
And you're starting to get noticed by the conference.
Yeah.
So since you're taking over the program, where have you seen the most improvement?
The biggest improvement is a willingness to do the work it takes to get faster. So the program had been a little bit sleepy for a few years. Um, good people who enjoyed swimming, but maybe their focus wasn't on winning, or that was okay. It just wasn't in their temperament. And I think that I've brought in some people who hate to lose. They want to win. They're going to do the training it takes to get where they want to go. And that's infectious. They encourage their teammates to improve and to work hard. And you see that in how they cheer each other on in a set, or, when the sprinters are done, the distance swimmers might still be finishing their set, and they'll stay and they'll cheer them on, and they'll get them through kind of that last piece, which can be a hard piece of the puzzle to keep sustaining high tempo and power when you're tired. You've done thousands and thousands of yards, but to have your teammates stay and cheer you on and work you through that, it's motivating. It keeps you going. And I think that's one of the biggest changes in transition, has just been bringing in athletes who want to win. They want to do better. They want to drop time. They know the target goals. They know what it's going to take to be top 8 in the conference. They know what it's going to take to qualify for the NCAAs, and that's fun.
So I know the words fun and family and all of it, they come into play a lot for you. And team chemistry is something that's really important to you. So do you see that closeness outside of the pool kind of translate in competition mode as well?
I would say that you do, because your teammates know. One of the things I love about coaching swimming is that the clock doesn't lie. And so we know when you are swimming in a swim meet, we know what your best time is because it's in the book, that it's in the program. And so your teammates know when you've hit a lifetime best, and that is a celebration because you've never gone that fast before. And we're very clear on that the goal is to improve. And, whether you finish first or second or third, or you finish 16th at an invitational, or if you dropped time, then the team is celebrating because you did it. Mm-hmm. You did it. You're getting faster. And so I'm really big on contributing to the team, and that your improvement helps all of us. And so I think that goes for in the water and out of the water. How many push-ups did you do this time on the set, or how many pull-ups did you hit? And you see that when we're at a swim meet, you need to not be on your phone at a swim meet. That's just not where you need to be. You need to be present in the moment, and you need to be watching your teammates, and you need to be listening to the starting an official rhythm, and you need to be engaged and present. And I think that brings a camaraderie because you know what your teammate has done. And last year, the last night of the championship meet, the last day is hard. You're physically tired. It's a mental game. You've got to be strong. And when Sean got out there and just blew away his mile time and just set the team up to know, we've got this, we're ready to go, they start to realize how much they impact each other, how much their contribution can really create a synergy and an energy. And so, yeah, I think that's just at the heart of being on a team that's trying to succeed together. And yeah, it's good.
And I think I'd be a little remiss to not ask about Grace, Coach VR. What does so she last year was her first year, so how have you seen her grown as a coach, and what does she bring to the team?
Yeah. Well, Grace comes from a powerhouse swimming family. She was an All-American swimmer, top in the nation, and she's smart. She's so smart. She gets swimming, she gets training. So really helping her frame and understand how you build the season, you identify the strength and power. She just really is hungry to know, to understand. So this year, she's got that confidence coming back in. She knows what the goals are, how we frame it. And she's really run with it. She's built some great practices. We'll talk about, what are you thinking? What do we want to do? How do we want to tackle this? And having years of history and a mom who's a coach and having coached elite age group, she has some great sets and strategies that she brings, things that are different than even, experiences I've had. So it's fun to work through, and she knows what she needs to add into our mix in order to help the athletes grow. So that's been a lot of fun. We did a lot of work this summer on strength and conditioning and really trying to grow and enhance our dry land, knowing that was going to be really critical this year. And she played a really significant role in that, just thinking through design and strategy. And then she's just such an uplifting, upbeat human being that she is just lending incredible strength to recruiting and identifying talent and working with me to look at the pools of swimmers and another candidate pool. And so our recruiting has just been really terrific, looking at even ahead to the next year. So she's fantastic. She's a great colleague, and we're having a lot of
fun. So I've been kind of doing this as wrap up with every coach that I've done this with. One word to describe your team. What is it?
Golly. I would say maybe dynamic. Just they are amazing people, different people, lots of character and insight and personality and majors. I mean, they're studying so many different things. So dynamic. They're really fun. We're having a good time.
All right. Well, that about does it for me. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for setting these up, giving us an opportunity to look ahead.
No problem. I mean, no one knows the team better than you guys. So that'll do it. 2021, the pool. Yeah. We'll see you in it.
It'll be here.
All right. Thanks Mom. Have a good one.
You too.